Hello and welcome to the weekly WoW. The weekly show I'll be doing every Tuesday where I pick a random WoW related topic and discuss it. Now before I start this week's episode, I have to clarify two things. First of all, yeah, I'm young. Deal with it. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about and I'm a complete noob. Right now I'm 12 out of 12 in normal and 4 out of 12 in heroic. Sure, that's not amazing, but I kinda know what I'm talking about. Second of all, if you saw the Argoloth kill I posted, it was an extremely sloppy kill. Let me just clarify that was completely pug. The only reason I even recorded and posted it was because I wanted to test out the new recording software I just bought on YouTube. Now this week I decided to talk about really where raiding stands right now in Cataclysm. Now, and to really digest that, I have to go back to Wrath. Now, a lot of things happened in Wrath, some good and some bad. First of all, they released a lot of new content, and they had a lot of new ideas that came out. And by doing that, they attracted a lot of new players, and the player base just skyrocketed, which is a good thing because there's more people to play with, and Blizzard's budget went way up. But then most of those people were little 13-year-olds who were like, oh my god, Death Knights are so fucking cool, I need to make one. Now, overall, I think Wrath was a really easy expansion for raiding. Overall, all the raids were really easy, but I think especially towards the end in ICC. Now, that means two things. First of all, those little 13-year-old noobs who really suck and don't know what they're doing, they were able to go into a pug and get 8 out of 12 and get kills and really experience raiding. But on the other hand, a lot of the hardcore people that play this game for a challenge, they quit. If it's not a challenge for them, they're not having fun and they're not going to want to play it. And so, but the problem comes now that Cataclysm hit. A lot of the hardcore players who had a lot of people leave in Wrath, and overall there aren't as many hardcore players. So when they lose someone, it's really hard to replace them with someone that actually knows what they're doing. On the other hand, I remember when Cataclysm first hit, when all of the healers are complaining how hard heroics is and they need to nerf everything so it's so fucking easy and they can do it. And I hope to God that doesn't happen. Because those are just little 13-year-old noobs who joined in Wrath, who have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And honestly in Wrath, it was really easy for healers. Mana wasn't even in the equation. A Resto Druid could just blanket the whole raid with rejuves and top the healing meter. And so those healers that don't know what they're doing, now that they actually had to think about what skills they're casting, because Blizzard really brought healers' mana back to the way it was in vanilla. And so they can't just spam their highest mana, highest healing skill anymore. They actually need to think, okay, what's going to be the most healing per mana point? And it's the same thing with DPS and tanks. In Wrath, a tank could just literally sit there the whole fight and not have to do anything. Unlike Lxswiftxl, they have to taunt off, but that's it. Now, in Cataclysm, they actually have to do something, and they're fucking up left and right. And with DPS, it's the same thing. In Wrath, they might have to switch targets or something like that, or run from something. But in Wrath, there wasn't any fights that heavily require interrupts. Stuff like that. And now you need really good DPS. And these noob DPS who are still at 5k just absolutely suck. And right now, I think there's really 3 levels of raiding. There's the lower level of raiders who completely suck, who, relying on pugs and Wrath, but now that pugs can't do anything because it relies on people that aren't good enough to get into a good raiding guild, they just can't do anything. And those are the people that still aren't in full 3046 gear. Those are the people who don't have all of their, craftables or drops or, rep items or anything like that, and they're still haven't killed anything except for maybe Argoloth. And then there's the second level of raiders, which I like to consider myself as, that by now they're probably 12 out of 12 in normal. They're working on heroic progression, and by the time Firelands come out, they'll probably completely kill everything at heroic. And I think that's a really good. I think it's a really good expansion for them because it's still the average player level. Like, it's not that hard to replace people, and it's just the right amount of content for them to plow through. And then there's the hardcore extreme players who, like Premonition and stuff, who are amazingly good, and they work really hard. And of course they're going to clear everything first. But if someone has to leave or something, you know what I mean? Like, they just can't afford WoW anymore, or they just decide that it's consuming too much of their lives, it's like impossible to replace that person because so much of the extreme hardcore player base left during Wrath. But I feel that the people who are right now 12 out of 12 working on heroics, this is really a great expansion for them. But overall, I think that all those noobs that joined in Wrath, because it was an easy expansion, everything was easy. You know, a complete noob can go into an ICC pug and down heroic loot ship because it's easy and get free heroic 277 gear. And even before that, like, if you joined during ICC, which a lot of people did, you don't know what it's like to have to farm for rep. You don't have to work for your gear at all. Like, you know, a tank can go in there with all greens and the healers can carry him because it just doesn't take skill and you just don't have to work for gear. But now the Cataclysm hit, when it first hit, you know, farm rep like crazy, get all your epics from that. You know, farm heroics all day long and get all 346 gear. Archaeology, oh my god, I fucking hate archaeology. I'm still working for my trinket on my Resto Druid. I am at over 500 Night Elf solves and I still don't have it. But, you know, you had to do that. Like, it's gear. You need to work for gear. And all of that stuff. So now they're just not prepared to have to work for that. And there's, like, still, when I go into a heroic on my warrior, when I'm not healing, most of the time the healers can't do shit. Like, they'll in the first 20 seconds of a fight because they just try to blanket everyone with rejuves or something. And then, like, 1 in 20, there's a healer as good as every healer should be, you know. They can conserve mana. They probably started in Vanilla or Burning Crusade. And then about 1 in 40 is actually a good healer that I actually enjoy doing a heroic with. And so right now, I think if you're one of those little 13-year-olds that doesn't have that much skill that joined in Wrath, either go PvP, because PvP don't really need to be good to have fun. It's like heroics being the new raids, where you can just go in a queue and find some pugs that can probably do it. Or you could actually take the initiative of working for your gear, getting full 346, getting all your rep items, all your BOEs, and going on YouTube and watching those fights over and over again and learning the fights. And if you can do that and practice your rotation enough, like actually take the time to just go over to any training dummy and practice on it for like an hour, your DPS will jump up. Like, if you take all that time to do that stuff, it's not that hard to get into a raiding guild. You just need to know what you're doing. That's about it for this weekly WoW. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below or email it at Lxswiftxl@ymail.com. Thanks.